Hey guys, it's Sherry. Today we are going to be making a owl brooch. I drew up a idea in my head and I want to have a lot of fun with this particular piece and make it unique. I kind of saw some wall art with paper that was similar, and that's what inspired me to do this piece. So we are going to come back to that, but I have my clay rolled out to my middle section on my pasta machine. I don't want this overly too thick, so that's about the thickness you're going to want. And I have blush pink, red, and white. I also have these little eyeballs. This is the closest thing that I could get to the color of an owl, so that's what I'm going to use. But if you have those little black button eyes like these, you can use those as well. Get your little circle cutter because we're going to be using our extruder, and you want to make sure that whatever you use kind of fits right into your extruder. And then we're going to punch out a bunch of these colors. So I want to kind of make sure my clay is stuck on my tile if possible, so I could just punch these out. All right, so now we're going to get our red. Let's pull these off. I don't know how many I'm going to need of these exactly, but I want to fill up my extruder pretty good and kind of go off of that. So let's just put that off to the side. Alrighty, so grab your red, and then we're going to go pink and white, and we're going to kind of just go back and forth and mix these up real nice. So you don't have to do red, pink, white, red, pink, white. You can mix them up, but I'm going to kind of stay mainly with that blend. All right, guys, so I'm going to finish this up right now. And we're going to end with red and pink. And then I'm going to kind of mush it together, give it some good bond in there. And a lot of people will do them real thick, but I want these thinner, so you'll see why. Let me wipe off my extruder here, and then I'm just going to put that in. If it doesn't fit, just roll it and it'll fit in there real nice. And then this is the disc that I'm going to use, so it's a tiny, tiny rectangle. And then let's put all this off to the side, because as of now, we don't need any more of our red or pink. But we are going to want to roll out our white one more time. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to roll this out and get it nice and flat once again. Make sure your table is clean because you want your clay to stay clean if possible. All right, so you're going to roll this out to your number 3 on your pasta machine, so it'll be like your 4th thickest. And then put it on whatever you're going to bake your piece on. That's what you are going to place it on. So if you have your little glass tile, put it on your tile right away so you don't have to move it repeatedly. And then make sure you have a nice flat back, no air pockets underneath, okay? Now, I'm going to grab my drawing again. I'm going to hold this up for a few minutes or a few seconds so you can really see the drawing. This way you could kind of copy it if you want, or get an idea of how I did it. Okay, so next I'm going to place it right down onto my clay. And I'm just going to take any little sharp object and just trace my main piece out here. So just trace it. That way you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to be working with. I'm gonna trace out my eyes, trace out my nose, and then my little tree branch I will trace out as well. And you don't need it exactly how it is. You just want to be able to mark it so you know what you have planned. So there is my piece. So that's exactly how you want it to kind of look. So that way you have a little guide. I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and then I am going to start trimming up all the extra clay here. I love this little owl. I think it's going to be so cute. And we'll stop this right here. I actually will cut through because I know how I want my tree. And you'll have your guide by looking at your actual picture. So now all I'm going to do is smooth my edges out. I like to always smooth everything out and give it a nice clean look. Even though nobody's going to see this section because we're putting our clay on there, you want it to be clean if possible. Okay, now I'm going to put my little eyes on right away. Let me see. Yep, okay. So to do my eyes, what I am going to do is, where are you? I'm going to take my ball tool and I'm going to kind of go around and just indent it just slightly. That way I could push my eyes down into that little indent a little bit simpler or easier. Then I'm going to take my clay adhesive, put that right where I just put that, put those indents, and then I could press that right in to my clay. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, perfectly pushed in because we're going to be putting things on top. And then push that in slightly, and then I'll have some good contact. Okay. Now, I'm going to put that off to the side, and I'm going to start working on my extruder here. So here, I want to just show you, you can start to see how it's very dark red, and then it starts getting lighter. So you get this dark red, and then it turns into this beautiful, like pink color, and it just gets lighter, and then it'll start getting darker once we hit that red again. All right, so let's stop there. And what we want to do is we want to start rolling these up into little tiny, almost like little beads. So we're going to take one end and we're just going to start rolling it. And we don't want them to be overly big, all right? So we really, really need them to stay small. And then just cut. And then you'll have like these little tiny, almost like a cinnamon roll. That's what it almost reminds me of. So we want to do a bunch of these. So I'm going to roll it maybe like 3 times up and then cut. this way it gives us that little paper technique. All right, so I have some done here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull my tray up, and then I'm gonna start layering these on. Because I don't want to push these down. If you push them down, you're gonna mush them, and then you're not gonna get that paper effect. So I'm gonna take some of my Sculpey Oven Bake here. And then I'm just gonna take a paintbrush. Oops. And then I'm just gonna kind of go over and put a thin layer here. And I'm going to take a tiny little ball tool, and that's how I'm going to pick these up. And then I'll just lay them down on here. And I'm going to mix up from the dark to the light and really get a nice little effect. So let's go right around our eyes first. And by doing it this way, you'll kind of get an idea if you need like real tiny ones. Like right here, I think I could use a tiny one. Just keep layering them. If you need it to go a little bit skinnier, like I'm going to need that to go skinnier, I'm just going to kind of squeeze it together a little bit. And then put it right in there. Nope, it's still not skinny enough. Let me go with this one. That should definitely be. And then I could just push that right in there. Because I kind of want these to be as tight as I can get them to really give it a cool effect. So you see how that's all coming together? And it gives it that little doodle look. All right, so now I'm going to continue rolling up my pieces here, and then I'll layer them all out. And I'll see, like, I need a tiny one there, and I'm going to need 2 smaller ones there. So by doing it in steps like this, you'll kind of get an idea of how much you need and how much you don't need. So I'm going to make some really small ones. So you see how tiny that one is? So I'm going to make really small ones as well as my regular size ones, so I could fit them in those little small tight areas. Okay, so you can see I did a bunch of tiny ones in different, like the lighter and the dark. So now I'm once again just going to start placing these on my little slab here. And I'm just going to try to line them up the best that I can to get a nice tight fit. And I think for the ears, it's better to have them as small as you can get them. So you can see I only did like very small rolls. Get one right up there. So I'm going to kind of shape this a little bit as well. Just remember, don't push them down too much because you don't want to flatten them. But you will have to push it down a little bit just to get a good seal on it. Let me just... get that. So you'll see this one's a little bit more time consuming than some of my other things. But I think this is going to be really, really cute as a little brooch or pin. Okay, let me get one more in there. So I'm pretty happy with that area there. And then I'm going to fit one more here. Now we are going to edge this piece, all right? So we are going to edge it all out. And right here, this area is going to be cut out. So I'm going to cut that out now. Okay, so now I'm going to lift this out. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to try to get as close to these pieces here, because I don't want to have to put any more there. And this is going to be like my border. Right here's the little beak. And then the eyes, we're going to leave a little bit of clay there. But we want to take most of it away. Okay. Take your silicone tool, any silicone tool that you have, and let's start pressing those in there and getting that nice and smooth. Because the smoother we could get it now, the less we have to sand and worry about later. So we want to try to get it nice right now while the clay is still soft. So around the eyes, I'm going to use this particular one because that'll give me a good like cup. It'll kind of cup the eyes there. And I'm going to use the same thing around my wing. And then this area is where my tree branch is going to go. All right. So that's what we have so far. And I'm going to do some tiny ones for the nose. And I want to try to get this little beak. I said nose. I want to get this beak to stand straight. There we go. And get a little bit more glue. And I want one tiny, tiny one right by that eye. There we go. So you can see it is slowly starting to come together. And when you lift it up, you'll be able to see if you're missing any areas that should be filled in. So very cute. So finish doing this area here. And then Well, actually, you know what? We're going to do our, what do you call it? We're going to do our branch right now. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start the branch because I want to work around the branch. So I'm going to get some of my scrap clay here, and I am going to just roll this out and get it nice and soft again. All right, so you see how it has like that yucky, not blended 100% look to it because it has like that little mica chip pearlescent to it. That's what I want. I want to make sure that I have that look in there. All right, grab some wire. This is 20 gauge. And I want to kind of get an idea how much I need. And then I'm going to bend it over. And I'm going to double this up. All right. So I'm just going to kind of twist this. Thicken this up a bit. Let me get this. And the reason we're putting wire inside the clay is to protect it from breaking off. Because if you have a long piece of clay just kind of sitting there, it will break off. And then I'm going to bend these down to prevent any sharp edges. Come on. There we go. All right. So now that's about the length that I want. This is going to be a big brooch, just to let you guys know. Okay. I'm going to keep that look. Put my wire inside there. And then I'm going to fold it over. Press down. Okay. Lift it up. And then start shaping it the way that you want it to be shaped. And try to make sure no wire pokes out of your edges, okay? That's the last thing you want, is wire poking out of there. Okay, and now I'm going to take my little tool and I'm going to put marks in it like it's a tree branch, okay? So just put little lines in there. Give it that little look of a tree branch. You see a little wire right there. Okay. So you see how those little marks are there? And now I'm going to kind of measure this up. Let me push that over. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to take that little section off. I don't want it to kind of go down that far. I'm thinking of stopping right there. That would look nice. All right. So we're going to change this just slightly. Get rid of that. And that's the nice thing about clay, is you can change your mind a billion times until you find what you like, as long as it's not baked. Okay, that's exactly what I like. Everything's measuring up nicely. I'm going to put little, let's get a little bit more marks in here. All right. Now, once again, I'll start doing my little paper roll things here. And then when I'm done rolling them all up, we'll come back and we will start putting them all on again. Okay. Now I'm going to start layering all my stuff up. Hopefully I did enough rolls here. At least that's what I'm hoping for. And I'm actually going to use my X-Acto knife to pick everything up. Okay, look at that. Isn't that adorable? Oh my goodness, that actually came out a little bit cuter than I thought it was gonna. I really like that. Very, very cute. Now, all that tedious stuff is done. So the next thing I want to do is just do a couple leaves on here. I really think this is so cute. I love the little swirls. I think it is adorable. I think it's going to be a great little Valentine's brooch pin type of thing. So now I'm going to grab some more green. And once again, I'm just grabbing stuff that I already played with. I'm not opening new packages because in reality, there's no point in doing that. You know, not for a couple leaves or something like that. I try to always just use up my little scraps that I have. So I'm going to run this through my pasta machine and kind of blend it up a little bit. All right. Now I'm going to take just a little bit and make a little ball. That's going to be too much. So let's go half of that. We make a little ball and then you just pinch the edge, okay? So you're going to make it into like a little teardrop. And then if you take it and press it down, you get like this cute little leaf. I almost feel like that's a little big. So I'm actually going to cut that one in half as well. And then pinch it on both ends. Flatten it. And you don't want to flatten it so much. You'll see I still have some thickness to that. And then just take the back of your X-Acto knife. Press down. And let's make our leaves. And then I have some glue here, so I'm just going to take the glue off of my glass, and then I'm going to set it there. You can even take a little tiny ball tool and just kind of press it down. But you don't want to press it down so hard that you're leaving like a huge indent into that. Or you could use your X-Acto knife and just press it down again to make sure that it holds onto that. So I'm going to do a couple of these. Dip that in. And then press it on. There we go. Okay. We're going to start with our big one. And I like to kind of squeeze the tips if possible, like if it's too fat. And it just looks nicer with it being a little bit skinnier. And put one right there. Right there. All right, so with this one here, I'm actually going to take my blade one more time, and I'm going to press that in to make sure that it really is pushed down into that area. All right, now we're going to put this in our oven. This is all Primo clay, 275. I'm going to bake this because this is going to have to be baked twice. So I'm going to bake it for a ½ hour, and then we'll do the rest of it. So my piece is out of the oven. It's cooled off. The next step is take all your pink scraps and blend them together till they get like a beautiful pink color together. Then what we are going to do is we're going to put our back on. So I'm just going to kind of cut around so I know how much clay I need. And I want to take my oven baked clay adhesive, and I'm going to put it right on the very back of this. I'm just going to use my finger to spread it. And I want to make sure I get all of my areas covered in this clay adhesive so it sticks well. And a little bit right there. Okay. I'm going to take my clay, lay it down. I'm going to just get a sponge. I don't want that one. Let's get this one here. I want to press this on here, and it'll give me some texture along with making sure that my piece is really on there. We're going to cut out the opening area. I want that all open. Get that off of there. And then I'm going to just take my X-Acto knife and just kind of trim around and get it the best that I can. And at this point, it will not be perfect. Okay. And we could actually leave that in there if we wanted to. That's kind of cute, but I really want this area to be open. So just take your X-Acto knife and follow that. All right. Now I'm going to take my sponge again, and I'm going to start really kind of pulling that clay. You see how like I want to pull it over around the edge. Don't worry about if it's like perfect right now, because we're going to add a little edging on that to make sure everything looks nice and clean. And before I put the back of my pin on, I want to make sure that I get my edge on. So if you have an air pocket, just poke a hole. Cut a nice straight edge. I'm going to get my long blade. And you could use your extruder for this, but I'm just going to cut my clay out myself. And I'm going to use those pieces. Give myself a nice clean edge. And now I'm going to take some of my clay adhesive and I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to go right around my edge. And I'm going to work on one side at a time, like really take my time on this so I know it kind of lays nicely. Oops. Take your piece and then we're going to go right around the edge. Now we don't want this to go all the way up. We just want this to kind of edge the very sides, because if we go all the way up, it's going to take away all that really pretty detail that we just did. So we don't want it going all the way up over our little swirls there. And then I'm just going to cut that right there. So push that in. I almost feel like I should put another little swirly there. So I'm actually going to make a couple of them because I feel like that's too much of an opening. Let's just put our glue on the bottom and then we'll just lay that right in place. We'll do one more. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to take my sponge and start pressing that into place. It'll give us some texture. It'll secure everything in place. So you can see how much nicer that looks than it did. So instead of all that white showing, we'll have that beautiful seal now, okay? So I'm going to do that all the way around here. But first I'm going to get on the inside, because once I start filling in this area, it's going to be harder to get there. So let me get... I am going to get my little silicone tool, and that's where, this is how I'm going to put this on, okay? That'll give me a little bit more control of where everything is going. I don't have to worry too much about the nose because I can actually push that clay right over. Nope. Let me put that there. Let me squeeze that in there. Okay, so let's get this tiny piece and we're gonna put that right in there. So this particular area is going to be a little bit harder because we're going to have to kind of really squeeze it in there and get the corner of your sponge and just dab it, like keep pressing it in there. There we go. That looks good. So I get a little bit. All right, get that pushed in there. Let's get this pushed in here. I want to make sure this is separated so we have that open in between the beak and the wing, because if you have too much clay there, it's going to close it up and it won't look as nice. If you get too much clay in one area, just shave it down, because you don't want big piles of anything in one area. It won't look nice. Okay. Okay, so now my biggest thing is going to be right around the eyes. That's going to be probably my hardest area because I want to make sure that my eyes have some clay around them. I'm not necessarily concerned about it being textured, but I definitely want it to be covered with clay. So I'm going to put my clay adhesive right there. And I probably only need half of that. And then just use your hand, or your finger I should say, to go up. Take your silicone tool and start pulling that clay in the corners, okay? You want to keep your eye cleaned, or you want to keep your eye clean. And then I'm just going to take my sponge and carefully just texture a little bit. Don't go crazy because you don't want to go screwing up stuff. The back, you want to make sure everything is blended well together. Make sure my nose looks good. And now we got to get the other eye, which I think that little section should be plenty. So let's get that. Tell you, these little silicone tools are fabulous because they really push things in the areas that you need them in. Like, it'll push my clay exactly where I need it, which is really nice. There we go. Clean that area up. So honestly, the eyes and this little area are what's going to be the most time consuming. If you see a little area that has too much white, like right here by the nose, I'm actually going to take a piece of my clay and just shove that in there. And texture. Okay, so now I can finish doing around the other edge, but look how nice that looks. I love this. I actually think this is so adorable. This really reminds me of like a little cartoon owl, which I absolutely love that it has that feel to it. I'm going to take that extra clay off right there. I don't want all that clay on my tree branch. Okay, so here you can see that I kind of mushed my little piece of clay. So what I am going to do is, let me grab my little pin here. And I'm just going to open that up and give it a little swirl look. Instead of replacing it, we're just going to give it little swirls. Right inside of there. Open it up. And there, look it. Get it like reopened it. So I may have to do that again. I'm not sure if when I start working on the back, it will mush again. But that's how I am going to fix that area. So what I'm going to do right now is blend all my back together. So you got your sides and you have your back, and you need to blend that together so it doesn't look like separated clay. We need to make sure that it blends all together real nice and looks like one piece of clay. Otherwise, it just doesn't look pretty. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to get my pin here. I want to open it up. See where I want? Yeah, I want it right there. Okay. So put your clay adhesive down. I'm making a mess here. Put your pin down. Do I want that? You know what? I'm going to do it the other way. I want it down like that. Okay. Make sure it's even. Now, okay. Now what we're going to do is get a little piece of clay, kind of measure it up. About right there. Everything's sticking to me. And I'm going to put that right in the middle. And once again, let's blend that little section down. Take your little ball tool. You could go like that if you want. That kind of makes sure that your clay gets stuck to other clay real nice. But I like to really just blend this together. And another thing that you're going to want to make sure you're doing is make sure you close your piece when you bake it. You need to have that little section embedded into your clay. If it is not embedded in your clay, you will not be able to close it. So make sure that is done. Right now, what I'm doing is taking the bottom portion of this clay and really making sure I'm blending it into my other clay so it doesn't look like it's separated. I want that clay to really become one piece. So I'm just going to go over and over and over and over and over to make sure that it's blended. And you know what's neat is it always looks like fabric when you really go over and over and over. It gives it that fabric look, which is really nice. I'm going to take my initials, stamp them into my piece. And now before I do the final bake, I need to really look over it and make sure that it looks good, that I'm not missing anything, because you just want it to be really, really nice before you want everything to be where it's supposed to be before you bake it. So do one final look, fix anything that needs to be fixed. Make sure you get a wipey or a towel. And always clean your eyes off before you bake it, just in case there's glue, because you don't want the glue stuck on there, or the clay adhesive, I should say. Okay, so now I'll put this in my oven once again for another ½ hour, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like finished. And here it is. It is out of the oven. It is cooled off, and I absolutely love this. I think this piece is really just a fun piece. The last thing that I want to do is I really want this piece to shine. So I am going to use my Sculpey Gloss Glaze. And I'm actually just going to put it right on my table. Get my brush and just go right over it. This way it gets nice and shiny. Now, if you want, you could add white to this. You could really blend a bunch of different pinks together. I mean, there's so many things you could do with this particular one. I just thought it was so cute. It was such a cute idea for Valentine's Day or anybody that loves owls. And I'm definitely going to do my little tree branch here. I want that to shine as well. Now I'll let this completely dry, and then our piece will be completely done and ready to be worn. All right, guys, here it is. Here's our piece. Look how beautiful this came out. What a fun piece this is. Anybody that gets this as a gift is going to absolutely love it. I think it is adorable and perfect for Valentine's. I hope you enjoyed creating this piece with me. Please remember to hit the like button, and I will see you all next time. Bye.